Hi guys, hope you're enjoying your day. Today I'm going to teach you guys on how to create VHD, how to activate native boot in your PC, and also how to use the VHD as your backup. So before we move on, if you are wondering what is VHD, its full pronounce is virtual hard disk. Virtual hard disk is like you're virtually creating a partition in your own PC by giving itself a large amount of data. For example, we give it a 300 GB, 400 GB of your internal hard disk. And native boot is like you can boot a multiple OS. You can say it's similar to dual boot, but in a way it's different by using virtually. And moving on of the backup is that backup, you will be storing your files from your main OS into your virtual hard disk and making it portable so that you can boot it, your VHD, to another PCs or any other PCs you wish to. So let's move on. I'll show you a demo. Thank you. Hi guys, what's up? So today I'm gonna teach you guys on how to create a VHD, how to activate native boot, and also how to make a portable backup. So we start off by creating a VHD. So you just bring your pointer to the start and right click. Then you can go to the disk management. Now after you open your disk management, go to action and create VHD. Okay, we start off with location. The location is where you are going to put your VHD file. For example, I would like just choose local disk C because it has free of as it has free of 232 GB. I'll just make a very small one. I'll go to log disk C, type the name of the VHD, or you can put any name. I just put M. Okay, I save it, but the VHD is not fully created yet. Now you have to give it a storage size. For example, I'll just give it like 50 gigabytes. It's a virtually created storage, but this virtually created storage would be influenced by your local disk C, software installation, or your any continuing stuff that you would install in log disk C. That would actually influence the storage in VHD as well. Okay, now we move on with the virtual hard disk format. As you can see, it's clearly written there, VHD supports virtual disk up to 2040 GB in size, and VHDX supports virtual hard disk larger than that, but it also doesn't support the VHDs that were created earlier than Windows 8. So since we are going to use only 50 GB, let's go for the VHD. And now we go to the virtual hard disk type. Firstly, fixed size, meaning it will give you exactly the amount of size that as you requested, and it will only deduct a few MBs for a system reserved. Then moving on is the dynamically expanding, which is rather created quite fast, but it will reduce by a few more MBs for the system reserve, or sometimes a few more GBs. Okay, but since we are in a hurry, we'll just go with dynamically expanding. And then when you press OK, this row will show up. It doesn't matter what this number is, The only thing matters is right now is that it's not initialized and unallocated. So here we bring the pointer to this one, initialize the disk, and set it to MBR, because MBR is a version that supports the previous versions, but GPT is not recognized by all previous versions of Windows. So meaning that since I'm using Windows 10, I wouldn't be able to use it in Windows 8 or Windows 7. But if I'm using MBR, it will be working fine. So moving on, you just click OK and it will be initialized online. But that's not the only thing we need to do. As you can see, the 50 GB is still unallocated. So you just bring your pointer here and right click, and then click on new simple volume. Here you just go next, next. In here you get to choose what drive letter you want to give the VHD. Let's for example, you can give it B, A, G, H, I, J, K, but let's follow with the default one. Here you have two options. Firstly is to not format the volume, and second one is to format the volume. Formatting the volume is more recommended, as sometimes if you don't format, there will be junk files in there keeping your VHD storage away. So formatting is quite recommended, as it will also clean those up, most of it. Then you just go and finish, and then you can see the new partition is available for use, which is actually the VHD located in local disk C. Okay, so we have finished the part where we create VHD. So now we are going to move on how to activate native boot. Alright, so we can just close this now. Okay, so now what we are going to do is run a few commands. But first, you bring your pointer to the start again, right click and open command prompt admin. Yes, and now in here we are going to run a few commands. Let's start with this one. Basically, if you are wondering what this command does, is get you info on the index, like how many index or how many index does the OS have, or which version you want to install. Basically, the versions, or you can say editions, will be based on numbers. So this is a very important command. Now we are going to mount an OS. So let's mount Windows 10. It's mounted. As you can see, before you continue, you need to go to the sources file and confirm if there's an install.wim file. The file is very necessary if you are going to install the OS, and you will need this file to find your index, which index of which edition of OS to use to install. Okay, since we know now, we can just back and check the drive letter, which is E. Okay, we don't need to do any changes here, and so here we just press enter, and you can see there's only one index in this OS currently, which is the Windows 10 Pro. So We are now going to run the second command to let the OS be installed in the virtual hard disk. Okay, sorry. Okay, let me briefly explain to you. Starting with the image file. The image file is actually from where you'll be getting the OS from. Let's say just now we saw it was the E drive of Windows 10, and then the folder that contained the install Vim file was the sources, and then you can directly move on to install Vim as there are no other files in between. Now, as you can see, the index is for other versions or other editions of the, like when you download a OS, you get a multiple edition, meaning that it will have multiple editions of OS in the one ISO, and then you can choose which version to install. But since we just checked here, there's only one index. We'll move on with index 1. Be careful that index cannot be left blank. If not, it will show up the same error 3 here. Okay, so now we are going to choose the apply drive. Since just now we created a VHD to install the OS in, it also gave us a drive letter. So we have to use the drive letter G, as it's the VHD, to install. Here we just change the C to G, and then you can press enter, and also it will begin the installation process right here. This moment, here we go, it's applying the image. This installation will take quite a while, so have a break, we'll be right back. Thank you. Hi, welcome back guys. So as you can see, the installation is complete, but before we continue, basically I'm just letting you know, after installing the OS, you still haven't made the VHD bootable. So now there are a few sets of command. There's another sets of command that you have to run to activate native boot. Okay, so here we go. The first command here, bcd edit command, is actually for you to add in the msconfig boot the OS to boot from. The current is actually a key for you to use, and the current key that it will give is to be replaced in these. As if the current key is not used here or not copied correctly, this set of command will not allow the VHD to be able to boot. Device is to access the files. OS device is to make the OS usable. Detect all is for device detections, and finally a hypervisor. Basically, the hypervisor is for display of the OS in the VHD, meaning that after you boot up, it will show up with one recycle bin and one Windows wallpaper that would require activation. So now let me just show you. Copy, paste. Here you can change the name. I'll just put like Windows 10.2. Then I press enter. You will get this key here, right here, and then you right click on it, and then you'll be able to replace the commands here. Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. Moving on, you need to make sure the location of the VHD is correct. Like just now, when we were creating the VHD, it was placed in the C drive, not the D drive. So please be careful with that, and change the name as well. If the name is wrong, your VHD, when you're trying to boot, might just end up on getting BSOD. After running these three commands, you can run the last command for the display part, and then enter done. To check if it's there or not, you press Windows R, type msconfig and enter. Okay, in here you go and click boot, and then you can see the OS that you just named is here, Windows 10.2. So after you finish checking, you can just go restart your PC and boot to this OS. After you boot, it will be completely blank and for you to continue your task. So now I'll reboot. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back as soon as it's finished with the configurations. Thank you. So welcome back, guys. Now since the backing up is now working, as you can see in the Windows Explorer here, this is using the 300 GB primary drive. And now I'm going to continue on how you can back up using the VHD. So firstly, we'll go to local disk D, as it was local disk C, our main OS. In here we can go to the users and choose the previous OS's account user that we use, meaning here, and then you can go to the documents or downloads, and we can go here, Control C, and then we can bring it to the current documents and paste it here, and so we can finish our backing up. But please do take note that this method only works with the hard disk directly inside the machine. It doesn't work on external hard drives, as if you try, your PC might end up not booting up at all and stuck at the starting logo. And the benefit is that when you are going to change a machine, you can just change by copying the VHD into your external hard drives and then redeploying it in the new machine that you will be using, so that you won't have any problems by adding all the softwares or any issues like that again. You can directly just make it bootable in your newer machine, and indirectly you can continue your work where you left off. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you very much.